Hi guys, I've had a question in from a patient about how to maintain our balance as we age, which is a really important question that I think could benefit, the answer to it could benefit many of you. So before I go into some techniques, there are a few principles that are important to follow to help you maintain your balance and your strength as we age. So the first principle is it's important to stay flexible. So keep up a general habit of stretching every day. Just basic stretches for your hips, your spine, your shoulders and chest. And the reason it's important to stay flexible is that if you imagine you've got this much movement capacity, just as an abstract idea, you've got this much movement capacity in your joints, but your day-to-day tasks take up this much movement as well. Because you're going to be near your end range in a lot of the things you do day to day, that's where you're most at risk of falling and that's where your joints are most at risk of injury. However, if you have this much movement in your joints, like this much capacity, but your day-to-day tasks only take this much movement capacity, then there's always a buffer. So whenever you're bending and twisting and moving around, you've got this buffer in your system to cope with your day-to-day tasks, which minimizes the risk of injury. Principle number two is to stay strong, and in the same way that having this buffer of flexibility will help you, having a buffer of strength will help you. So just from a physics perspective, you are a mass and you move through space, so you have momentum, we're influenced by the forces of gravity, and to stay strong, staying strong helps you manage your mass and momentum through space, and with the effect of gravity, it helps you manage it better. So you're more able to bend and twist, and if you have a trip, you're able to catch yourself and you prevent yourself from falling. So just general strength, and again, having a routine in your week to help you with that is beneficial. Thirdly, principle number 3, a good diet is going to be important for your balance. Now, this has 2 facets to it. Firstly, a good diet is going to help you remain lean, and if you're overweight, that's going to increase your risk of falling. It's going to make it trickier to stay stable, and you'll need more strength to keep your balance. Whereas if you're lean, it's just easier to move through the world around you. And then the second facet to a good diet is that our brain is what coordinates our body, and our brain needs healthy fats. So you need your fish oils, you're eating oily fish, you need your avocados and your nuts and things to feed the brain to help maintain balance. So the major principles to maintain balance as you age are: stay flexible, stay strong, eat a clean diet, especially focusing on getting your healthy fats. Now I'm going to give you a few techniques that you can follow at home. It doesn't require any equipment other than maybe a chair to hold on to, and this should help get you strong and coordinated through your hips, spine and core. So exercise number 1 is called a lunge matrix. Imagine you're standing in the center of a clock and you're just going to step to 12 o'clock with both feet, coming back to the center of the clock each time, then out to the sides to 3 and 9 o'clock, doing a little knee bend when you get there, then backwards to 45 degrees to about 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. In all of those examples there, my feet were facing forwards, whereas you can do the same, the 12 will be the same, but you can do the same where you point your toes at the clock point, which just brings a little bit of a different reaction through the hips and core when you turn your toes outwards to each clock point. If that feels tricky for whatever reason, you can just hold on to a chair for balance, and gradually you're going to try and minimize the amount you're holding on to the chair. So that could just be having one finger resting onto it, and it's amazing what that does just to feed back information to the brain, giving you a little bit more balance, and then when you feel ready, you can just take that away. Exercise number 2 is a continuation from the lunge matrix. We're going to do exactly the same with our feet, but whichever foot is moving, you're going to take your hands over that front foot. So when my right foot goes forwards, I go to the right. When my left foot goes forwards, my hands go to the left. Same with the rotational ones. When we step to the side, we're going to just take our hands round, and this is just exaggerating the movement through the core. And every time we move our hands, we're creating a gap, a separation from our thorax to our pelvis, and that lengthens the core muscles, which sends a huge amount of information up to the brain. Whenever a muscle lengthens, we activate some neurons in the muscle that send information up, and the brain's going, all right, I know where you are now, and it can help coordinate motion. And the more you do this, the better your brain gets at understanding your spinal and hip motion. So doing the Lunge Matrix, but with your hands as well, really helps accelerate the brain understanding of movement in space. Technique number 3, I call the slow sit. Depending on your life, you might be getting up and down from your chair a few times every day, and that can be a nice opportunity to do some leg strengthening. And as I was saying earlier, strength is going to be one of the key factors in helping you maintain your balance as you age. So every time you sit down, or at least a few times a day, rather than just plonk down, you can go as slow as you can. So especially as you get closer to the chair, your gravity is going to make you want to fall backwards, so really just try and maintain that slow, steady pace all the way through. Now, there are a few things you can do to help you with this. One is if you're using an armchair, you might want to use the arms as little as possible, but you can use them to help you. So you can use them to maintain that slow speed all the way down, or you can hold a counterlever. So sometimes even just a plate or a lightweight, a bottle of water or something out in front of you just helps you counterlever your weight falling backwards. So holding something in front of you can help you slow that pace down. But what you're doing there is you're really using your quads and your glutes to help lower you down slowly. And the more often you do this, the stronger you'll get, and then that can help you maintain your balance. So the last movement seems the silliest, but it can really help your neurology. So there's a lot of science involved in this movement, and it's simply to march. And it's, like I say, it sounds silly, but it's really helpful for the brain to coordinate opposite hand and foot at the same time. So the goal is to get your hip to 90 degrees if you can, but if you can't, doesn't matter, just doing a smaller march. You can start just by tapping the knee that's coming up at you with your opposite hand. And then again, the end game with all of this is to get your opposite elbow to knee. And you can do this for about 90 seconds or so, gradually building up. If it's too tricky to begin with, you can hold on to a chair and just do one side, and do one side at a time, gradually building up, and then gradually taking the support away, and then switch sides. So I'll just turn around and do the other side. But as soon as possible, as soon as you don't need the chair, then do alternating sides. And the reason for that is, obviously, when you're either touching the knee or getting elbow to knee, I'm standing on this one leg for that moment of time, so my brain is having to coordinate the standing leg while also activating the core to bring opposite elbow to knee or hand to knee, and we're getting this nice diagonal chain of strength through the shoulder to core to hip. And that's really helpful in our day-to-day life, because as humans, most of the important things we do in life involve this opposite chain. We call it contralateral chain, from opposite hip to shoulder. So you're just telling the brain how to coordinate that. So it seems silly, but it's probably the most important one you're going to be doing. Okay, so they are my 4 techniques to help you maintain balance. I myself do some of these during the week, or variations of them. I think it's part of a helpful just well-being routine to stay strong and balanced and coordinated. The more you do them, the better you'll get at them, so try and just have it as part of a habit rather than go hell for leather for a week or so and then forget about them. So build them into a lifestyle habit, but also don't forget the principles that I started with. You need to just have a habit of staying flexible, getting strong, and eating well so that you stay lean and help feed the brain. If you've got any questions, comment below.